Okay, welcome back everybody for a new live interview. Today we have such a special guest, one of the most inspiring, interesting guitar player from the lab, from the new generation, the one and only Mr. Mark Lettieri. How you doing, Mark?
David, good to hear from you, man. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you've been touring a lot and doing a lot of stuff as usual. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you've been playing in Italy, right?
Yes, the Fearless Flyers, one of my bands, was in Italy at the beginning of August. We did four shows.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. We did Milan, and I gotta remember where we went. Milan, Bari. Oh gosh, now I can't. Now I'm blanking. It was Bari. It was Milan. It was what was the other one?
Did you guys touch Rome too, or no?
Yes, Rome,
Right. Okay.
and then Agrigento in Sicily.
Oh,
That's right. I forgot Rome. Only like the most important city in history, but I can't remember it. So
nice.
yeah,
But I have to ask you this question. Do you have Italian background?
I do on my dad's side. Yeah, his family, they're from New York, but about a generation or two before him came over to the United States
Really?
from between his mother and his father. There, it's between the Naples region and Abruzzi region.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, southern. We're all southern Italians. Yeah.
So Italian blood in you.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing my Ferrari t-shirt.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so guys, so we don't have much time today, but we want to just real talk. We're gonna talk about mindset, maybe creativity, sound, and really a sneak peek of what's coming in the Masterclass that we're gonna be doing next Thursday. By the way, if you like, you have the link in the description to enroll. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so much interesting, and so we'll play a lot in the masterclass. And but today I wanted to ask some question to Mark to understand his world. Because I really love your discography, Mark. I'm really impressed about your solo works, and also the work that you've been doing with Snarky Puppy, of course, and also your band, the Fearless Flyers. So, yeah. So, how did you manage? How do you manage, first of all, to be like a father? We've been talking about having a family, two kids, and being a touring musician, a solo artist. So this is something interesting that might inspire a lot of people out there,
Well, it's not easy.
right?
I don't particularly like being away from home. I like touring and traveling, and the experience of playing live music and presenting art to people and interacting with a live audience. And of course, getting to see the world is amazing. So I'm very grateful that I get to do that. But it doesn't. It definitely comes with a cost, and that's being away from home. So
Of
I
course.
just am very careful with how long I'm gone and how often. And if I have to be really really conscious of making decisions. That if it's going to take me away from my family, it better fulfill me creatively and financially. To be
Of
honest.
course. Yeah.
And sometimes there's variables on either side of that equation, of course. Sometimes with my solo project, the financial responsibility falls on me. So sometimes it's beneficial, and sometimes it's more of an investment.
Right.
But thankfully, all three projects, the Mark Lettieri Group, Snarky Puppy, and the Fearless Flyers, because it involves so many different people who are also all very busy.
Hmm.
It's never where all three are happening at once.
Right. Right.
The summer has been primarily I started out doing a lot of Mark Lettieri Group stuff, and then that stopped, and then I did some Fearless Flyers stuff.
Hmm.
That stopped. And then I think I have one Snarky Puppy gig the rest of the year.
Okay.
So everything kind of weaves itself in and out, so that I'm not getting toppled over by all three projects at the same time. So it is a bit of a balancing act, but I'm able to kind of fuel each one individually as it needs to happen. And with the Fearless Flyers, for example, unless the four of us are available, that band doesn't play.
Oh, okay.
We actually don't play that much. And then so this year has so far was very, very busy with the Mark Lettieri group. I played quite a lot starting at the beginning of the year up until about the summer, and then I kind of chose to take the foot off the gas for a minute because we had a baby, and so I wanted to be home for that. And so the fall is going to be fairly light. I mean, I have some stuff with my band, but it's here in Texas, so I'm not really having to travel. I have a few. We have 2 dates in New York City at the Iridium.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then I have 2 dates in New York City at the Blue Note with Corey. And mostly I'm going to be just doing recording and writing hopefully recording the volume 3 of the Baritone Sessions record. So
nice.
Yeah, no long tours for the rest of the year. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't understand this. They say, they see musicians always, going around and gigging, but it's a lot of work, especially with traveling. It's exhausting, right?
Yep.
It's really, really exhausting. So can you talk about a little bit your journey? When did you start playing? What age? And what was your musical journey so far?
I started pretty young. I was 12. And just kind of happened into it by chance, I guess you could say. It was never like my parents didn't force me into taking guitar lessons or anything. My dad plays a little bit, so he's had the same old acoustic guitar forever since I before I think he bought it in 1972 or something. So it's been in our family forever, and he was very, very cool with just letting me take it out of the case and just bang on it,
Right.
And I guess I was probably about 12, and he was like, "Do you want to maybe take guitar lessons or something?" And I thought, "Oh yeah, okay, that'd be kind of cool,
That would be cool.
And it obviously just developed into a huge passion, and so I was hooked by then. I mean, I haven't stopped playing since. But I went through many phases. Studying away, and started working professionally. I was probably 22, I guess, when they kind of started making a go out of it. I went to college, but not to study music. I studied advertising.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I have like a marketing degree, which has been helpful.
Okay, yeah.
Being in the business of music to kind of understand how to brand yourself, so to speak.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think, gosh, I've played a bazillion gigs over my lifetime of all different types. I mean, everything from big, arenas to weddings to, small jazz clubs to big jazz clubs to back basements to literally I've done it all. Back of a trailer, flatbed truck in a field somewhere, like I've done it.
Right. Experienced. You are experienced, right?
Well, not all the experience, but a lot of it, yeah.
Exactly. Nice, very nice. Yeah, you mentioned about passion, huh? And I think that is the main fuel for everything, because this is not an easy business to handle, of course.
Sure.
And you got to be passionate, and there's something that works for you to just try to fuel your passion, your also your creativity. Do you have any secret that you want to share with people about just fuel your passion and also have the right motivation to keep going, even if something is not going exactly as you like?
Well, I mean, I think there's there's kind of many layers to that. I mean, I think from strictly a creative perspective, you just have to be open to where inspiration can happen, and that can be from anything that maybe isn't necessarily musical. And oftentimes, if I'm kind of in a rut or just bored or something, I'll just stop.
That's a great advice. Just
Play
stop.
guitar or won't listen to music or just go do something else, to get your head away from it.
Right.
Because while it is a passion, it oftentimes feels like an obsession, and if you're obsessed with something, there's danger in there. I mean,
Right.
there's positivity too because it keeps you kind of going because you love it so much, but also it can develop into an unhealthy relationship where you hate it because
That's right.
you're stuck with it kind of thing. So I just like to take a break, man. And that's been helpful for me, I think, just as a man. It's just to
Exactly.
kind of take a break. But then you really, if you're doing it professionally, you really have to love it, and you have to really ask yourself, would I be as fulfilled if I was doing something else? And I ask myself, I mean, I'll be honest, there are definitely days when I'm like, nah, I think I'm done with this. Like, I don't, if I have to go to one more airport or whatever, like, I'm done. I don't want to do this,
Right.
and that's just kind of the relationship I have with the career that I've made for myself. I mean, maybe it would be different if I was a different kind of player or was in a different circle or something like that. But, I have to just be really conscious about, like, yes, this is what I'm here to do, and I love to do it, and I'll figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
It's always been my method is I'll figure it out. I'll figure
Yeah.
out a way to make this work.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree on with that. As a human being, we figure it out, and
Yeah,
let's see what happens, right?
yeah,
Step by
exactly. If
step.
you really in your core knows that it's right, then you'll figure out a way
Yeah.
to make it work. It
Yeah.
might not look like what you intended,
Mm-hmm.
or it might not look like what your friend's career looks like or something, but if it's honest and right for you, then yeah, you'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah, that's that. I totally agree with that. And also, I wanted to ask you because, especially in Europe, it's always hard to to find gigs and decent gigs, and a lot of students of the Guitar Lab ask me about this. How should we do to to do this as a profession, and get a decent pay and stuff like that. But I wanted to ask you if you have advice for people, like, our job, it's not just gigging, right? So how do you handle your business? You do teaching, you do touring sessions. What's your perspective on this, and what's your advice for a youngest guy that wanted to introduce themselves to the business? What
Right.
should they do?
Well, I mean, I think when I first was starting out, 22, 23, I never said no to anything.
Right.
Sometimes that got me in trouble, but but I learned my way. I figured out a way to get out of it or whatever, make it work. Um, but usually I always look at it. If you kind of have to create opportunities for yourself. I mean, a lot of people say that this business is based on luck, and it is, but you kind of have to create your own luck. You have to create situations where cool things might happen.
Mm.
You can't just sit around and wait for stuff to happen.
Right.
You have to be active in networking. You have to be active in meeting people in your music scene and being proactive, to work with them and create with them and whatever.
Right.
I remember I used to go to a million jam sessions when I was younger.
Mm.
That was kind of the way people met each other. This was the mid 2000s or whatever. I don't. Hopefully, there's still jam sessions going around. I don't know. But that's how I kind of built my network. And then once the network was established, I just made sure I was reliable and good.
Good enough too.
So people could. I think I got where I am today because people could count on me.
Mm.
I was gonna be there on time, probably early. They knew I was gonna know the material, as best as possible given the circumstances. If they sent it the night before, then that's one thing. But if they sent it 2 weeks in advance, I was going to know it like the back of my hand.
Right.
My gear most of the time worked.
That's important. Exactly.
Technical shit together.
Exactly.
That I didn't have fancy gear, but I had stuff that turned on when I turned it on.
And know how to use it.
Yeah, I was able to get the sounds for the people that needed the sounds, and I, for the most part, I think I was pretty likable. I was flexible. I oftentimes would assume it was my fault, even if it wasn't my fault. whatever the situation may be, but yeah, I mean, and like I said, I just rarely ever said no. And I think that was a big part of it. And now it's different because how it is. You're a working dad, and now you probably say no a lot more because you have other things going on in your life. But when you're a single young player, and you just say yes, do everything. Yeah. It didn't matter. I always say it didn't matter who or where or how much. I would do it.
Interesting.
It's a lot of sacrifice, but when you're young and full of virality, that's when you go do those kinds of things, so that you can set yourself up to be a little more selective and comfortable when you're older.
So that's interesting. And today, what makes you say yes to a project instead?
Well, in some ways, it's still kind of the same things that I would say yes to back then. I look at it as is it financially fulfilling? Is it creative? Basically, it's like financial, creative, or personal, right?
Yeah.
If you can solve 3 of those things or 2 of those 3 things, it's worth doing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if it's a gig that comes in, maybe you don't really like the music, but it's paying really well and you're going to meet some people, you should probably do it.
Yeah.
Right? If a gig comes in, doesn't pay anything, but it's going to be really fun and you're going to help a friend, you should probably do it.
Right.
So that's sort of this little triangle of how to say yes, and if it's just one of those 2 things or one of those 3 things, you should probably say no. Unless it's like a really good friend.
Exactly.
Those are me not get overwhelmed.
Yeah. That's important too, because I think one of the most underrated part of our job is the mental part, right? Because you have to be focused, you have to be clear in your mind what you want, what you're gonna achieve, in order also to have a great performance. And if you are overwhelmed, as you were saying, you're not gonna be doing you're not gonna be at your top, right? And that's important too. And it's connected to what you were saying before. You have to be on top of things, reliable and good enough to be called by somebody, to do your job. That's interesting. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a little bit about your philosophy behind your playing. So everybody has influence, right? Influences by other musicians, other artists, and stuff like that. But how do you know when something you play is truly yours?
I don't know. I don't know if anything is mine.
That's interesting.
To decide, honestly, because I know where everything came from. I'm very in tune to this tone or that lick or that phrase or that rhythm or something. I think if you know your influences, you can really backtrack and figure out where all that stuff came from, and that's totally natural. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's for the listener to say, "Oh, that sounds like Mark Lettieri. That's a Mark Lettieri part," or "That sounds like a Mark song."
Yep.
So when I see stuff like that, then I go, okay. As long as I'm still comfortable with the way I sound, it must sound like me.
Right.
And I know people can hear the influences, just like I can hear the influences of my heroes, but at the same time, I can recognize them as their own thing. Um, so, but I think they would probably say the same thing. They know where all of that stuff comes from. Like,
Yeah.
I stole that from whoever, or
Absolutely.
thing I got from this. But it's how you package that and purpose it that defines your own sound and your voice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally true. And what are your biggest influences on your playing?
Oh gosh, I mean, I was just, I was listening to Charlie Hunter a lot yesterday when I was
It's
cooking,
great.
and I was like, man, this guy was so important, and he still is
Yeah.
important to my playing and my time feel and vocabulary. I mean, I don't know. You could probably name a few, but I've said it a million times. Jeff Beck for sure, Prince,
Yeah. Yeah.
Edward Van Halen, John Scofield, Paul Jackson Jr., Steve Wonder, Steely Dan, George Clinton, Herbie Hancock,
Yeah.
Megadeth. I mean, it goes, really, man. I have ZZ Top. I mean, it's all
Right.
over King's X. It's all over the map. There's so much
Absolutely.
great.
And the list goes on and on because
Yeah,
it's
we can be here all
impossible to name three. Right? So just name three. It's impossible.
There you go. Great. Well, I named 10, so that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's great. So another question about the sound of playing, and that's a lot of talking about gear, analog, digital. But I wanted to ask your opinion about just gear in general. So, do you believe tone is more in the fingers or the gear? Do you have a favorite gear that you have to use in order to get your sound, or it's just whatever? Because I know a lot of colleagues that are not attached to any piece of gear. For instance, with Osnoy is incredible. He used to play with giant pedal boards, but if you ask him to set it in, it will bring one pedal and it still sound like Osnoy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, I think that you have to look at the definition of tone, and I think there's two ways to define tone. The first way is like the actual sonic sound that's coming from somebody's gear, right? Is it distorted? Is it crunchy? Is it delayed? Is it has reverb? Right? It's sort of tangible. And then there's the intangible definition of tone, which is like someone's personality, right? The way that they react with the instrument, the way that they bend a note, the way that they put vibrato, where they put the beat,
Right.
how they strike the note, how they bend, all these different intangibles that come from the humanity of playing music and the spiritual side of playing music. I think when we talk about a player that has good tone, we're talking more about that than necessarily like the sound that comes out of their amplifier.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we are discussing that, but to your point, you can tell a player by their tone because what you're hearing is their person. You're not necessarily hearing their gear.
That's right.
So I think, for example, a player like Oz, as long as he has a piece of gear that gets out of his way,
Yeah.
he's going to sound like Oz.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's kind of the same thing. Like, no matter how many pedals I have in front of me or what kind of amp or plug-in or guitar, I mean,
Right.
plan my gear around stuff that gets out of my way.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can hear the tone of Mark Lettieri more than you hear the tone of the guitar. Right. So that's why I have these instruments here. They're not just for show. Like these are all, especially the ones that I've helped design are designed so that I can get my tone, meaning my personality.
Exactly.
So
Nice, very interesting. Okay, guys, do you have any question in the chat? Don't be shy. Steve says
you'll have to
hello.
translate if they write it in Italian.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to mention this. So during the Pro Masterclass, I'm going to be translate everything in Italian, ok? Quindi durante la Masterclass di giovedì, ragazzi, non vi preoccupate, tradurrò tutto anche in italiano, ok? Adesso non avevamo troppo tempo perché abbiamo soltanto mezz'ora, quindi sto facendo tutto in inglese. Però tradurrò ogni cosa che dirà Mark in italiano, ok? Quindi non vi preoccupate. Okay. Steve says, exactly, Mark. He agrees. Okay. So a few more questions before I let you go. So let's talk about the Pro Masterclass that we're going to have on Thursday. So is there one topic you wish more guitarists explored seriously?
Rhythm.
Interesting. Right?
There are way too many good lead guitar players these days. We need more good rhythm guitar players.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm saying that facetiously, but don't neglect your ability to play rhythm guitar. And I think even if you are a particular type of maybe you're like, I'm a great rhythm guitar player. You probably are, but are you good at a lot of different kinds of rhythm guitar? Or just one kind of rhythm guitar? Just because if you play in a progressive metal band and you've got great rhythm guitar for prog chops, doesn't mean you shouldn't check out some James Brown every now and then.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that. And vice versa. If you're an R&B guy or you just love playing, like super soulful funk guitar, go try to play some hard rock or metal or Indian classical music or something. I don't know. The more rhythm you have inside, the more different options you have for time feel, it's only going to make you a better musician. And I'm saying this so I can remind myself to think about things too. But
that's right.
But for the masterclass, and I know we didn't do any playing today, but if you come to the masterclass, all I'm going to do is play.
Exactly.
So I'm going to play a bunch of my stuff and demonstrate a bunch of stuff. Really, anything y'all have been wanting me to explain or show you, now is the time to get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. Giacomo, how did you join Snarky Puppy? Ooh.
Okay. I joined Snarky Puppy back in 2009, kind of as just a substitute.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, the band was still fairly new. They'd only been around for maybe 4 years, 5 years, just kind of playing locally at the time. But it was kind of an interesting part of the band's history because everyone was young and trying to figure out their careers. But Michael, the band leader, was still wanting to make Snarky Puppy a working band, and so he would book a lot of shows, and that just meant that not every musician that he normally used was able to play.
Of course, yeah.
And so I got called as a substitute for a couple gigs just because the other, Bob and Chris weren't available. But because Mike liked how I sounded, he was like, "Oh, well, this is kind of neat. We should keep him around because he's got a sound that could benefit this band." And that was really how the band got so big, is that there would be gigs that so-and-so couldn't do, so they brought in so-and-so, and that player was great and brought a new feel to the music, and so Mike said, keep him on the team. And so
interesting.
You could say I got drafted. It's like a team. It's like a sports team,
That's great. That's great. And that's the soul of the band, actually, right? So different players.
Yeah, a lot of different personalities on the music.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Something about your favorite guitar. What did you love?
Well, I have a lot of favorite guitars, but this is a current favorite just because, look at this orange. How cool is that?
Yeah.
The new Hibiscus Fiore from PRS, Hibiscus Orange. So I got a couple new things coming around the pike for everybody that are my new favorite guitars. So.
Yeah. Yes. So last question before we go. Maybe do you have some songs to suggest to practice to develop a good rhythm guitar?
Sure. The Michael Jackson album Thriller is like a masterclass in studio rhythm guitar.
Interesting.
Because you've got Steve Lukather, you've got Paul Jackson Jr., you've got David Williams, and I think Dean Parks is even on there.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe even somebody that I'm forgetting, but like right there are 4 of the preeminent rhythm guitar players who are also, obviously nobody needs to know I don't need to tell you how great Luke is at soloing, you know that.
Yeah, exactly.
But as far as rhythm parts, the parts on those records are just immaculate.
That's right.
And I would learn every song on there.
Nice. That's a good.
Beat it solo just because it's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great advice. Okay, guys. So once again, so we're gonna have a beautiful Pro Masterclass this next Thursday. So here's the QR code, but also you can find the link in the description to enroll. And we're gonna dive into a lot of stuff, a lot of topics. We're gonna play a lot, and I'm gonna translate everything for you.
Okay.
guys.
Awesome.
Ragazzi, ve lo dico anche in italiano. Allora, masterclass di Mark Lettieri, Pro Masterclass questo giovedì. Ok, quindi avete qui il QR code, ma anche il link nella descrizione per iscrivervi. Ultimi posti a disposizione. Non vi preoccupate, non sarà soltanto in inglese, quindi tradurrò come al solito ogni singola cosa per voi, e poi dopo avrete anche la registrazione, anche se non potete rimanere collegati, se non potete collegarvi in diretta, ci sarà la registrazione, ma dovete iscrivervi prima della Pro Masterclass, ok? In modo tale da avere tutto il materiale che creeremo per voi anche successivamente e a vita, ok? Quindi non vi preoccupate, ripeto, oggi abbiamo fatto una cosa al volo veloce, una chiacchierata tra amici, quindi non avevamo tempo di tradurre, però verrà tradotto tutto in italiano, ok? Bene, okay, I think we're done for today. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate that. It was fun, a lot of value for everybody. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to Thursday. Make sure you
Yes.
sign up. We'll do all the playing in the world.
Exactly.
Every single guitar here.
That's right. Okay, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.